All right. Thanks, guys. The Wizards take on the Hornets. That's going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off in Charlotte. The Hornets open 5.5, total 234. And since that one opened up, we're actually seeing a significant fade of the Hornets when it comes to the spread. A full 1-point fade of Charlotte when it comes to that number. Not a whole lot of movement on the total, but right now Charlotte's minus 4.5. So once again, the Hornets open 5.5 down to 4.5, total 234. 55% of the consensus is leaning toward Washington, 63% shaded toward the over. Right now, the Wizards are plus 160 on the money line. Now, Dwight Howard's still out for Washington. He pulled his asshole, or his butt cheek, gluteus to be exact. Washington 1-4 straight up in their last 5 on the road. They covered just 6 out of their last 20 away from home. Washington ranks last in road points allowed. They're giving up 119.3 points per contest in that category there. They also rank second to last in road defensive rebounding. Now, Charlotte, on their side of things, they rank 9th in shooting the 3 ball at home. Very good from downtown in the Queen City. They also rank 4th from the stripe on their home court. Charlotte is 4-2 straight up in their last 6, taking on Washington, if you're into historical trends. And they are 4-1 against the number at home in their last 5, taking on Washington as well. Now, total-wise, Charlotte is 5-0 to the under in their games played at the current posted total. So, I'm going to lean Charlotte minus 4.5. And the under 234 in that one. And if you notice, I left the half a point on there. I'll tell you what. My boy Oliver, we were going back and forth. And Oliver, great viewer, great subscriber. And he said, hey, man, why you always got to buy the hook? And I said, you know what? We're going to get away from buying the hook. But I'll tell you what, guys. The very single solitary second that I lose a game by a measly half a point, I will be buying that hook again. So day 1 of not buying the hook starts right now. All right, next game. Mavericks, Magic, 7 o'clock tip-off in Orlando. Orlando opens 6.5, total 213. We're seeing movement toward Orlando and movement toward the over. Right now, Orlando's 7, total 213.5. Once again, the Magic open 6.5 up to -7. Total open 213 up to 213.5. 51% are leaning Dallas. 54% shaded toward the under. Right now, the Mavs are plus 230 on the money line. Now, Porzingis is still out with that knee injury for Dallas. Max Kleber is also questionable with a knee injury as well for the Mavs. Meanwhile, on the Magic side, Terrence Ross is questionable with that Achilles tendon. Orlando's just 3-9 against the spread in their last 12 at home, taking on Dallas if you're into historical trends. They're also 3-11 straight up in their last 14, taking on Dallas at any location. Orlando 0-2 against the number in their last couple of games. They're also covering just 20% of their games that tipped off at the current point spread. One more thing about Orlando. They rank 25th in offensive scoring and 23rd in home offensive rebounding. Now, Dallas is 23-17 against the spread when catching the points. They're also covering 63% of their games, taking on teams between 450 and 550. Dallas ranks 9th in defending the 3 ball. They were 9-3 straight up in their last dozen in Orlando. Now, total-wise, Dallas is 7-1 to the over in their last 8 in Orlando. Give me Dallas plus 7. And the over 213.5 in that matchup there. Next game. Where do I have that? It looks like the next game is Jazz Grizzlies. And I think I did cap that one. Yeah, I did. Jazz Grizzlies, 8 o'clock tip-off in Memphis. The Jazz opened 6.5, total 214. And since that one opened up, we're seeing movement on both the spread and the total. Utah's now -5. Total moved down to 213. So once again, the Jazz opened 6.5 all the way down to -5. Total opened 214 down to 213 even. 61% are leaning Utah. 55% shaded toward the under. And at the moment, Memphis is plus 170 on the money line. Now, Nato and Exum are both out for Utah. And Udo and Rubio are doubtful for the Jazz. So a lot of guys banged up for Utah. that time of year. Meanwhile, on the Memphis side, Anderson and Jackson are both out for the Grizzlies. That in mind, though, the Grizzlies have successfully covered the number in 4 out of their last 5. They also rank second in home points allowed. They're giving up just 102 points per contest in that category there. Memphis ranks 4th in home defensive field goal percentage at 44%, and they are 2-1 against the number, taking on Utah this season. Now, the Jazz are just 2-6 ATS in their last 8, taking on Memphis. They're also 2-3 ATS in their last 5. Utah ranks 26th in road three-point shooting. They also rank 26th in road free throw percentage. Now, total-wise, Utah's 4-1 to the under in their last 5, 7-4 to the under in their games at the current posted total. Memphis, 82% to the under in their games at the current posted total themselves. They're also 63% to the under overall for the year, which is remarkable. Don't see that a lot when it comes to the overall game. But anyway, I'm going to lean toward another dog. How about that, guys? Memphis plus 5 in the under 213 in that matchup there. My eyes are always open. My ears are open. I listen to what the Brock Page Nation has to say. You don't want me to buy the half a point, I won't do it. You want me to mix it up, take more dogs? We're going to get the job done. We're going to do it, guys. But honestly, these were my leans anyway. I'm not doing it just because it was suggested. But I really think these dogs can get the job done. So anyway, next game, Cavaliers at the Heat. And that is going to be an 8 o'clock tip-off in Miami. The Heat open 9.5, total 214. We're seeing a slight fade of Miami when it comes to the spread. We're also seeing movement downward on the total. Miami's now 8.5, total 213 and a hook. Once again, the Heat open 9.5, down to minus 8.5. Total open 214, down to 213 and a half. 66% of the consensus is leaning toward Miami, 57% shaded toward the under. Right now, Cleveland is plus 300 on the money line. Now, Thompson and Henson are still out for Cleveland. Meanwhile, on the Miami side, Goran Dragic is questionable for tonight's action, so we may see Dragic get in the game a little bit. Miami's 4-1 straight up in their last 5, 6-3 against the number in their last 9. They rank 2nd in defensive field goal percentage, and they also rank 5th in defensive rebounding. Now, Cleveland, on their side of things, they're 2nd to last in scoring. They also rank 29th in offensive field goal percentage. For those who don't know, Cleveland is just 16-49 straight up overall for the year. That is 33 games under 500. They're also 6-25 straight up away from home. Now, total-wise, Cleveland is 6-3 to the over in their last 9. Miami 6-3 to the over in their last 9 as well. Give me the Miami Heat minus 8.5 in the over 213.5 in that matchup there. Next game, Pistons Bulls. 8 o'clock tip-off in Chicago. The Pistons open 3.5, total 219 and a hook. And since that one opened up, we're seeing steady two-way action when it comes to the spread. No movement on that number there. We are seeing movement downward on the total in that matchup there, down to 218 and a half. So once again, the Pistons open 3.5 and remain minus 3.5. Total open 219 and a hook, down to 218 and a half. 65% of the consensus is leaning toward Detroit, 60% shaded toward the under. Right now, the Bulls are plus 140 on the money line. Now, Zaza Pachulia is questionable for Detroit with a foot injury. Meanwhile, on the Chicago side, Hutchison and Carter are both out. Chicago's just 8-25 straight up at home, 13-20 against the spread in that same category. They rank 2nd to last in home scoring. They're averaging just 104 points per contest on their home court. They also rank 27th in home offensive rebounding. Detroit, they rank 7th in points allowed on the road. They're also 7th in defensive rebounding. They've successfully covered the number in 6 out of their last 7. They're also 14-6 ATS, taking on teams under 450. So really doing a good job against the number, beating up on those bad teams. Now, total-wise, Detroit's just 40% to the over on the road, 5-10 to the over in their last 15 on the road. Meanwhile, Chicago 4-2 to the under in their last 6, 20-13 to the under in their games on their home court. I'm going to lean toward the Detroit Pistons in this one, minus 3.5 in the under 218 and a hook in that matchup there. Next game, Raptors Pelicans, 8 o'clock tip-off in New Orleans. The Raptors open 4.5, total 233. And since that one opened up, not a whole lot of movement on the spread. we are seeing a little bit of movement downward on the total. That moved down half a point to 232.5. So once again, Toronto open and remains -4.5. Total open 233 down to 232.5. 71% leaning toward Toronto, 67% shaded toward the under. Right now, the Pelicans are +155 for some money line cash. Now for Toronto, Fred VanVleet is still out with that thumb. Meanwhile, New Orleans, Holiday and Moore out, not playing tonight. Okafor questionable for New Orleans. The Pels are 28th in points allowed at home. They're giving up 115 points per contest at any location, but they rank 28th in points allowed at home. And when it comes to just giving up points at any location this year, they're allowing 115 points per contest for the year. They also rank 25th in home defensive field goal percentage. Toronto, on their side of things, well, they're 9-3 straight up in their last dozen. 40-13 straight up as the favorite. They rank 7th in road scoring and 6th in defensive rebounding. Now, total-wise, Toronto's 75% to the under in some category. I didn't write down which category. I just have Toronto 75% to the under. They're 75% to the under in some sort of category. Poor planning on my part. Here are my notes, by the way. That's just one page. But Toronto 75% to the under in some category. New Orleans 3-0 to the under in their last three. Give me Toronto -4.5 and the under 232.5 in that matchup there. And like I said, if I lose one lean by a measly half a point, we're going back to buying it down. I'm just letting you know that. That's a promise. All right, next game, Philadelphia at Houston, 8 o'clock tip-off. Joel Embiid still out with that knee injury for Philadelphia. And for Houston, Kenneth Faried is out, and Iman Shumpert is questionable. Regardless, Houston 6-0 straight up in their last six. 6-game winning streak for those guys, looking very good right now. They're also 4-2 ATS in those 6 games. They rank 5th in the NBA in home scoring. They're also 22-9 straight up on their home court. Now the Sixers are just 2-8 straight up in their last 10, taking on Houston. The Sixers are also, they've also covered just 13 out of 31 away from home. They rank 20th in three-point shooting on the road, by the way. When it comes to the total, Phillies 5-0 to the under in their last 5 away from home. Houston 20-11 to the over on their home court. So I'm really not sure total-wise where this one's going to open up at or where it's going to move. But I think Houston will win this one. There are no lines on this game as of right now. Maybe there's some lines for it right now, but as far as early this morning when I was doing my research, I had no line for the game. But I do think Houston's going to win it, so I'm going to predict a final score of Houston 116, Philadelphia 112. All right, next game, Nuggets at the Warriors. Now, I have 2 games left. Normally, I skip the last game. Where is it? Right there. Don't let me do it, guys. Don't let me skip that last game. If I start to move on, just say, stop, Brock, stop. And I'll go back to it. But anyway, Nuggets at the Warriors. And that is going to be at 10:30 tip-off in Golden State. The Warriors open 5.5, total 233. We're seeing pretty good two-way action when it comes to the total. We are seeing heavy money on Golden State in the early going here. They're up to 6.5. So once again, the Warriors open 5.5, up to -6.5, total 233. 52% of the consensus is shaded toward Denver, 62% shaded toward the over. And at the moment, the Nuggets are plus 205 on the money line. Now, Trey Lyles is out with that hammy injury for Denver. Meanwhile, Golden State, they have Livingston, Thompson, and Looney all listed as questionable. Now, Golden State has failed to cover in 12 out of their last 14 games. Just 2-12 ATS in their last 14. They're also just 4-11 ATS in their games that tipped off at the current number. They rank 23rd in home points allowed and 22nd in defensive defending the 3 ball at home. So once again, Golden State ranks just 22nd in defending the 3 ball at home. Now, Denver on the other side, they are first in defensive rebounding. They're also 3rd in defending the 3 ball. They're 5-2 ATS in their last 7, 7-3 ATS in their last 10, taking on Golden State. So historically, over the past couple of seasons, very good against the number, taking on the Warriors. Now, total-wise, 9 out of Denver's last 10 games stayed under the line. 9-1 to the under in their last 10, 20-11 to the under on the road this year. Meanwhile, Golden State 5-1 to the under in their last 6. So I'm going to lean Denver plus 6.5 in the under 233 in that matchup there. All right, guys, we're going to move on to... No, I'm just kidding. Next and final game for the show, it is going to be... And actually not for the show because we got some more leans in college basketball and hockey. But next and final lean for our NBA slate, it is going to be OKC at LAC. That's the Clippers. 10:30 tip-off in Los Angeles. The Clippers open -3, total 237. We're seeing movement downward on the total. We're also seeing a significant fade of the Clippers when it comes to the spread. They're now -1.5. Total moved down to 236 and a hook. So once again, LA open -3, down to -1.5. Total open 237, down to 236 and a hook. 66% of the consensus is leaning toward the Clippers. And at the moment, OKC is on a 8-game losing streak when it comes to the spread. They're 0-8 against the spread in their last 8 ball games. They're also 4-5 ATS in their second of a back-to-back. They rank 23rd in defensive rebound, 29th in road three-point shooting. And on the Clippers side of things, they rank 6th in offensive scoring. They're putting up 114 points per game on average. They also rank 3rd in defending the 3-ball. Clippers, very good against the number in the past couple of weeks. 7-1 ATS in their last 8. 23-10 against the spread when laying the points. And when it comes to the total, the Clippers are 84% to the under in their games played at the current posted total. OKC just 33% to the over in that same category. I'm going to lean toward the home favorite in this one. Give me the Clips -1.5 and the under 236.5 in that matchup there. All right, let's go ahead and slide into some college basketball. And once again, I'm neglecting the small school tourney. I'm not diving into it. I'm not doing it. Maybe tomorrow I will, maybe Sunday. But today, not so much. I'm covering 2 games in college basketball, and it is going to be Minnesota at Maryland, 7 o'clock tip-off at the Terrapins. Let's just cue that up here on the board. Maryland open -7.5, total 135.5. I don't understand this movement. We're actually seeing a fade of Maryland when it comes to the spread. We're also seeing movement downward on the total. So if you can explain the